New Orleans, 1918. A city soaked in heat, music, and sin suddenly found itself held hostage by something far more vicious than any storm rolling off the Gulf. Someone was breaking into homes at night. Someone who didn't bother with stealth and subtlety. Someone who came armed with nothing but an axe and the kind of rage that split skulls like they were rotten fruit. People whispered he wasn't human. Some swore he was a demon. Others decided he was just the physical form of every bad decision New Orleans ever made. Whatever he was, he hunted ordinary people while the city slept. And for a terrifying stretch of time, the most feared figure in America roamed the streets of New Orleans without being seen. This is the nightmare of the Axeman. To understand the terror he unleashed, you need to picture New Orleans at the end of the 1910s. Forget the glossy tourist fantasy. The real city was crowded, chaotic, and perpetually on the edge of breaking. Immigrant families, especially Italians, packed entire neighborhoods. Groceries and family shops lined the streets. Jazz drifted from bars until sunrise. Crime was constant. The police force, let's just say it wasn't exactly a model of competence. Into this noisy, messy place slithered a killer who didn't behave like anyone the city had ever encountered. He didn't rob. He didn't assault. He didn't stalk victims like some patient hunter. He slipped in, struck fast, and vanished. No witnesses, no reason, no pattern that made any sense. He treated murder like a grim ritual, and the city, for once, ran out of swagger. The story began on May 20, 1918, when Joseph and Catherine Maggio were found dead in their small apartment above their grocery store. Someone had slipped inside while they slept. No struggle, no warning. The killer used a razor to slash Catherine's throat so deeply it nearly took off her head. And then he turned that same brutality on Joseph. The axe he used belonged to the same family he murdered. And the killer stayed long enough to change into clean clothes, leaving the bloody ones behind like a twisted signature. Police were baffled. The scene was savage, but the intruder had moved with eerie control. Nobody knew it yet, but this was just the beginning. Over the following months, the Axeman struck again. House after house, family after family. The victims varied in name, but shared the same background. Italian grocers, small families, people who barely had enough to survive. Homes were entered quietly through removable panels on back doors. The killer always used weapons found in the home, as if he wanted the murder weapon to feel personal. New Orleans began to spiral. People slept in shifts. Others left their houses entirely. The late-night jazz clubs thinned out. A city that usually refused to fear anything finally felt hunted. And then, the killer decided to speak for himself. On March 13, 1919, a local newspaper received a letter that claimed to be from the Axeman. The writer described himself as a demon from the hottest hell, bragged that he could kill whenever he wanted, and mocked the city for trying to catch him. But the strangest part was the threat he laid out. On a certain night, he would roam the city again, and any home not playing jazz would be visited. Anyone who refused to fill their house with music would die. New Orleans erupted. Every club overflowed with terrified patrons who danced out of fear. Families who couldn't afford gramophone begged neighbors to let them borrow one. Windows rattled from the sound of trumpets and pianos blasting late into the night. The whole city pulsed like one enormous, terrified party. And unbelievably, the Axeman had kept his word. That night, no one had died. The killer had turned an entire population into unwilling performers, and the police were powerless to do anything but watch. As fear peaked, theories spread like wildfire. Some blamed the mafia, convinced the murders were part of some violent vendetta. Others insisted that the killer had to be a local man, someone who knew the streets and slipped through them like mist. A few detectives theorized that the Axeman might be the same drifter behind a wave of similar axe murders across the country. None of these explanations satisfied anyone, especially the families who had seen the aftermath up close. Survivors who lived long enough to describe their attacker offered descriptions that contradicted each other. One said he was tall, another insisted he was short. One claimed he moved like a giant, another like a ghost. The only thing everyone agreed on was a scene of overwhelming presence, a shadow that filled the room before the axe struck. And the police chased leads endlessly, but each one dissolved into nothing. The city remained trapped in a psychological chokehold, never knowing when or where the next attack would come. The terror reached its peak in October 1919 with the murder of Mike Pepitone. His bedroom looked like a war zone. Blood on the walls, furniture smashed, chaos everywhere. It was one of the most brutal scenes of the entire nightmare. His wife found him moments too late to help, and once again, the Axeman dissolved into the night. And then, as suddenly as he arrived, he stopped. No more break-ins, no more bodies, no more letters soaked in arrogance and madness. The city braced for the next strike. Days turned into weeks, weeks faded into months. The murders simply ended. It was as if the Axeman walked out of New Orleans and let the darkness swallow him whole. More than a century later, the Axeman remains one of the most haunting mysteries in American crime history. He didn't kill for money, revenge, or any motive detectives could understand. His crimes were violent, theatrical, and almost ritualistic. He wanted to control the city through fear, and for a short time, he succeeded. He left no real clues, no consistent description, no identity, just bodies and questions. Whether he was a psychopath hiding among the crowd, a traveler drifting from town to town, or something darker that people preferred not to name, the truth slipped through everyone's fingers. New Orleans eventually reclaimed its music and its life. But the story of the Axeman settled into its bones, becoming part of the city's folklore, another ghost wandering the French Quarter. He arrived without warning, and he vanished without a trace.